I didn't learn how to stay with it right away. At first, I thought awareness meant understanding. Then I thought it meant change. But what I'm learning now is that sometimes awareness just means staying. Staying with what's uncomfortable. Staying with what doesn't resolve. Staying without immediately moving on. That's harder than I expected, because everything in me wants motion, wants progress, wants relief. And I notice how quickly that urge appears. Sometimes before I even realize I'm uncomfortable at all. It shows up as restlessness, as explanation, as the need to do something so the moment doesn't linger too long. But awareness doesn't always move forward. Sometimes it asks you to stop running. Not physically, internally. I notice how quickly I want to name things, how fast I want to explain them, as if understanding something will make it easier to carry. And sometimes it does. But other times, the explanation becomes another exit. Another way to leave the moment before it finishes showing itself. I notice the body tighten as soon as I begin to explain. The shoulders lift. The breath shortens. Even clarity can become a form of avoidance when it arrives too fast. Some things don't soften when they're explained. They soften when they're allowed. There are moments now when discomfort shows up and I don't try to distract myself from it. Not because I'm strong, but because I'm tired of running. I notice the familiar impulse, the reach for something else, the subtle urgency to make the feeling go away. And instead of following it, I pause. I let it sit there. And at first, it feels heavy. Heavier than I expect. Like something unresolved taking up space that was already full. My mind looks for exits. My body tightens. The jaw clenches. The stomach pulls inward. And awareness just stays. Not fixing. Not correcting. Just staying. This is the first place I notice something change. Not in the feeling, but in my relationship to it. Discomfort changes when it's not resisted. Not immediately, not dramatically, but slowly. It stops demanding answers. It stops asking to be justified. It stops insisting that I become someone else in order to escape it. It becomes a sensation instead of a story. And that's different. Stories pull me into the past or push me toward the future. Sensations keep me here. They don't ask me to understand them. They ask me to feel them. I'm learning that staying doesn't mean agreeing. It doesn't mean liking what's present. It doesn't mean approving of it or wanting it to last. It just means not leaving myself in the moment it appears. That's new for me. Before, I would override myself, push through, rationalize, minimize, tell myself it wasn't a big deal, tell myself to move on, tell myself I was fine. Now I see how often that was abandonment. Not dramatic abandonment, quiet abandonment. The kind where you keep functioning, keep showing up, keep doing what's expected, but stop listening. Staying feels awkward at first. There's no script for it, no clear posture, no sense of doing it right. You just notice and don't move away. And sometimes that feels exposed, like standing still without armor. I still catch myself wanting to turn awareness into something useful, something productive, something I can point to and say, this helped, something that proves the discomfort meant something. But staying doesn't always help in the way I expect it to. Sometimes it just reveals. And revelation isn't always comfortable. I notice how much of my life has been shaped by avoidance. Avoiding silence. Avoiding uncertainty. Avoiding the feeling of not knowing who I am in a given moment. Avoiding the space where nothing is decided yet. The space before identity settles again. Staying removes those escapes. And without them, there's nothing to lean on except presence. That can feel like standing without support, like being upright without something to brace against. But there's also something honest there, something solid. I don't think staying is passive. It takes effort, just not the kind we're used to. It's the effort of not interfering, of letting a moment be exactly what it is without trying to improve it, without rushing it into meaning. That goes against everything I was taught. We're taught to fix, to optimize, to overcome. We're taught that discomfort is a problem to solve. But some things aren't obstacles. They're thresholds. And thresholds aren't crossed by force. They're crossed by presence. I've noticed that when I stay, patterns reveal themselves without accusation. I see how reactions rise, how expectations form, how identities try to stabilize. I see how quickly the mind wants certainty again. Something solid, something familiar. And when I don't grab onto it, the grip loosens. Not disappears, loosens. There's less urgency, less panic, more space around the experience. That space doesn't solve anything, but it changes my relationship to what's happening. I'm no longer inside the reaction, trying to manage it. I'm with it, and that distinction matters. Staying also shows me how much patience this path requires. Not patience for results, patience for myself, for how slowly things shift, for how many times the same discomfort returns before it softens, before it trusts that I'm not going to leave again. There's humility in that. Awareness isn't about mastery. It's about companionship, learning how to stay with yourself without needing to improve the moment, without needing to justify it, without needing to make it productive. That's not glamorous. It doesn't look like progress from the outside, but inside, something settles. Not everything, just enough. I still leave sometimes. I still distract myself. I still numb out. But now I notice when I do. And noticing that is part of staying too. There's less judgment in it now, less urgency to correct myself, more willingness to return without turning it into failure. This isn't about perfection. It's about honesty, about choosing not to abandon what's present just because it's uncomfortable. I'm learning that staying creates trust, not with ideas, with experience. My body trusts that it will be listened to. My emotions trust they won't be rushed. My awareness trusts it doesn't need to shout to be heard. And slowly, very slowly, things begin to settle on their own. Not because I forced them, not because I figured them out, but because I stayed. If you're in this place, where awareness hasn't brought answers, only presence, you're not stuck. You're learning something subtle, something most people never slow down enough to learn. How to stay without needing to escape. And that's not a small thing. That's a foundation. You don't need to do this perfectly. You don't need to stay all the time. Just notice when you leave and gently return. Not to fix the moment, just to be with it. That's enough. And for now, that's the work.